So when we have a table, we've actually made Excel recognize it as an actual piece of data or pieces of data that all connect together. So because we have this table design tab, we actually have a lot of new features that we didn't have before. And one thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and go to the view tab and I want to turn off freeze panes. So I'm going to go to freeze panes. I'm going to unfreeze the panes that I've frozen. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to show you that the second I make something a table, it will pop me back up to A1. And if I scroll down, you'll see that instead of A, B, C, D going across as the column labels, we now have the names of the fields for the different columns for the table because Excel knows, okay, this is a table. You want to see these names because they're important and they are these columns. So we're just going to replace it. But if you scroll all the way back up, we'll see A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. But if you scroll down, it'll replace them. So it's kind of a cool feature of having an actual table formatted for Excel. You can also see that on the table design tab, there's a lot of features for how we can, control our data. We can do things like creating pivot tables, which we'll get into in a little bit. We can remove duplicates. So if you had a bunch of people who had duplicates in here, you could remove those. You could convert this back to a range, which means that it would remove all the table settings and just make it normal cells again. We could do things like exporting the table data and all those kinds of things. But then with our table style options, you don't just have this table style, you actually have style options where you can control what it looks like. And we've seen this in Word where like I can have banded columns, right? Which in this case, the one I've chosen is all about borders. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my table styles here and I'm actually gonna change down to like one of these that has different colored rows each time. And when I click that, you can see that when I turn off banded rows, they all have the same background color. But when I turn it on, they all have banded rows, right? I do the same thing for banded columns and those kinds of things. I can highlight the first column if I want to. I can highlight the last column. Lots of cool features. But then one that's defaulted on is this filter button. When we hit that, you'll see that these little arrows disappear at the top in the headers. And when I click it again, they come back. This is where the bread and butter is of tables for Excel. Because now I can start figuring out what individuals I want to look at and what order I want to look at them in. So let's say, for instance, you just want to sort people by what state they were born in alphabetical order. So I'd like you to pause the video here and sort the people by state in alphabetical order. To do this, you just go to the field header where state is, you click this beautiful little drop-down menu, and you sort it in alphabetical order. You can see there's two sort options up at the top. There's A to Z and Z to A. Now, A to Z is ascending order. Ascending means in order, growing. If we think about numbers, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's ascending order because the number is growing. Whereas with the alphabet, we start at A, so it goes A, B, C, D, E, blah, blah, blah. Okay, descending order would be going backwards or going down. So we'd be going backwards from like 100 to 1 when we're counting, or we would go Z to A for our alphabet. So we are going to do ascending order because we want it to go from alphabetical order A to Z. And when we click that, you'll see that one, somebody doesn't know where they're born, but two, it'll start organizing it by alphabet. Now, because some people, put different things in here, it can look a little bit different, especially if they spelled out the name versus putting in the state ID, all those kinds of things. Lots of different options, but you can see it pretty much puts it in alphabetical order. And you can see there's a lot of people from Washington because I've taught in Washington primarily. Lots of people from Prosser too, because I used to teach in Prosser, and people were born in Prosser. So really large data, but we put everything in alphabetical order. And then we end with people who didn't put in a state. So you can quickly sort your data. Now, let's say I just want to see the males in this order, right? So where would I go to filter out and just have the males show at this time? What would I be doing if I wanted to keep all these people in order by their state, but show the males? Right? I go to gender. So I would go up to this drop-down menu and you can see that there's a couple options, and we're going to kind of make this look a little bit more consistent, but I can uncheck female and I can uncheck prefer not to say and blanks and then click OK. And now I'm only seeing the males in alphabetical order by state. So you can see the state is still in alphabetical order, but now I'm only seeing the males. And look at these numbers over here. They're blue now. And they're blue because we've removed people from this table to show. Now, did they disappear or is that data gone? No, we're just showing the people that we filtered out. So you have sorting, which puts things in a certain order, and then you have filtering, which actually shows you only data that meets a certain criteria. My criteria in this case is that the students are male. So that's why we're only showing the male students.